Well, hello, Joshua Vaughn. Thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. Introduce yourself to our listeners and our viewers and let them know which PLTI community you're representing.
All right, well, Miss Melvette, pleasure to be here. My name is Joshua Vaughn, and you can certainly call me Josh. I would prefer that.
Of course you do.
And I am a PLTI graduate of our community of Naugatuck, class of 2021, a cohort, I'm sorry, of 2021.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Loud and proud, please call him Josh. If you see him out and about, he is a gentleman. I always feel like I have to call you by your first and last name because you're such a gentleman and such a fantastic parent leader and super dad. So let's get into it. I really want to talk about your community project.
Mm.
So tell us the title of your project and give us a description of what your project was.
Oh, certainly. So the title of my project was called and is called still Men of Valor Taking a Stand. And so that project was the observation of the lack of male participants in PLTI, Parent Leadership Training Institute. I was the only male in my cohort.
Mhm.
And for me, looking at that observation, it bothered me.
Yeah.
As a dad in my community, I'm in a cohort, as we know, of 20, but I'm, the only guy with 19 women.
Yes. Well, thank you for staying.
Right. And I stood the entire 20 weeks, and it
Yeah.
was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. But to go back to the project itself, I realized after listening to a lot of stories
Mhm.
of the other parent leaders in that space who were made up of course, women, I realized like, wow, a lot of some of what is being spoken about and talked to really is because there's a lack of male participation.
Mm.
And I noticed that because as a male myself, there's only but so many things a woman can actually do to support a male growing up in certain, areas of their lives. And so, hearing mothers speak, most of them, of course, as we know, were mothers. I said, well, we are the dads. I'm calling out the dads. We're the dads. And so for myself, I thought about, okay, well, what can we do to help encourage fathers, not even just fathers, but male representation to come to spaces that are civic engaged, civic involved, and to really talk about leadership in their communities. And it starts off in the home,
Mhm.
and so for myself, the project really was something that was dear and near to my heart. And I'm still there. I'm still
Yes.
there.
And so what's the title of your project again?
Men of Valor Taking a Stand.
Men of Valor Taking a Stand.
Yes, man.
And so tell us a little bit more about the details in your project. Like what did you do and did you get other fathers on board to do something together or tell us more?
Yeah, certainly. So, part of the project, of course, it has the mission that starts off the entire premise of the project, along with the goals,
Mhm.
right? And so, of course, the goal is to reach more men, and not only just the community of Naugatuck in which I reside, but the state, right,
Okay.
overall. And the action plan that comes a part of the project and the completion of the project was really talking to other men to figure out what do we do to support men? And a part of that also throughout the project that came to me was a 3E model,
Okay.
which is to equip men, to educate men, and to empower them.
Okay.
Because
3E.
yeah, the 3E model, I live
Yes.
by it. I live by it. It's a testament. And so I said to myself, I said, okay, if we want men in the space, we want to get men involved. We want to invite them to a space that can talk openly in safe spaces about how to make things welcoming for them to be involved. We have to figure out ways to equip them too,
Mhm.
right? We can't just look at inviting them and they're not in the right headspace or posture
Right.
to be a part of those conversations, and then to educate them on the opportunities to be a part of these different experiences and conversations and spaces, but then to have them also walk away feeling empowered
Mhm.
to know that their story does matter,
Right.
that their story changes, the different demographics of different areas of community and how they bring value. They
Okay.
bring value. And so part of that was connected with some guys from specific fields and different industries that can help give me perspective as to how to reach fathers
Okay.
of diverse, communities, diverse areas, diverse and, inclusive lifestyles. So I was able to touch base with a therapist and speak to him about how do we, reach guys that may be dealing with some mental health matters
Okay.
and bring them to the space. I spoke with someone that, dealt with child support. I
Mhm.
know that was one of the main topics a lot of guys connect with me about. And they're like, Josh, I don't want to talk about anything but this topic,
Right.
right? And target that. And so that was some of the pieces that helped to make up the action plan, because there were people that I knew that, okay, outside of my reach, outside of what
Mhm.
I know, my knowledge, I had experts that was a part of that action plan. And so part of that has now taken off
Okay.
from being the project written on paper to a project that is now in fruition. It's working itself, So yesterday, if you will, I just hosted my third annual men's event titled Together We
Congratulations.
Stand. Thank you, thank you, thank
Congratulations.
you.
Together we stand. And for those who
Stand.
can't see what his sweatshirt says, it says Together we stand. So you're out there promoting, got
Yes.
some merchandise. You love it. We love it.
Yes.
And so it was your third annual Together We Stand. And so this was an event for fathers or just men in general. Tell us more.
Yes. So Together We Stand is an event, a free event. I want to say free and emphasize that, for men to come from all out. It's going beyond even Connecticut. A lot of guys are just hearing about it and they're coming through. They're like, hey, listen, a free event and we getting fed. But
And
we actually
feeding them.
we're feeding them food too, food, real good food. And so you bring the fellas together and going back, revisiting that 3E model, that equip, that educate, and that empower. It works. It works. And so we make it more of a conversation, right? Bring the fellas together, have some food, break some bread. But then we get some guys that are of lived experience to talk about their stories, to talk about their then and talk about their now, to
Okay.
help encourage and really um empower the next brother through your story and through your experience. And so that's what Together We Stand does. It helps to really help another brother out, and
Okay.
it gives hope.
And so this event, your third annual
Yes.
that you just had, what's the format? Do you have panels? I mean, I know you said you have some people speaking, but are there any workshops? How does this all look for when a gentleman arrives? What is he going to experience? So that we can plan for the next time as we promote this event with you.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So, great question. The past few years, there have been expert speakers.
Okay.
So, and they get about 10 to 15 minutes to speak on a specific field, whether it's mental health, finance and literacy, um, wellness. So we're talking about
Mhm.
general health and wellness. Talk about real estate. A lot of guys have different, ideas to move forward with real estate. And then we're also having conversations about entrepreneurship. So yesterday's event had a panel. So instead of having expert speakers this year, we switched it up. We
Okay.
had two panels. So we had a panel for entrepreneurship, which were some of the guys of our local community that came from different industries, whether it was restaurant industry, real estate, home improvement.
Okay.
We had community activists, to really talk about what does entrepreneurship look like in today's time. And then we, of course, had a fatherhood panel every year. That's something I look forward to. Going back to PLTI,
Yes.
and the purpose of Men of Valor taking a stand, the fatherhood panel gives us more. Um, it gives us more insight
Mhm.
to what some of the fathers, some of the challenges they may be facing, and some of the areas of their lives of improvement that they're now ready to move forward and share their voice. And so the fatherhood panel allows us opportunity to say, hey, listen, before we walk away, let's see how we can connect. Let's see what's next. So as you have that zeal, we nurture it.
Yeah.
And so that's what some of the fathers can expect. And each year we grow by learning what is it that's next? And we do that by a survey, of course. We always keep that PLTI,
That's
you
right. You have to evaluate.
evaluate,
Look at the
let's take
outcomes
that
and how
feedback.
can we do
How
better?
to do better? How do we improve, right? How do we improve? And then to be able to take the voice of those that attended from taking time out of their schedule and apply that feedback
Mhm.
so that this way they know their voices were heard, not just, written down, but it was heard.
I love that. I love that. I want to go back to this entrepreneurship piece because you, in addition to being a parent leader as well as a PLTI facilitator,
Yes.
congratulations to you. This was your first year facilitating PLTIs in Naugatuck, especially. You're quite an entrepreneur yourself.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about what you're doing in that entrepreneurship space.
Yes. So what I'm now doing is a accumulation of different services. So I do justice of the peace and officiating weddings. I do notary. I also do some consulting work. So a lot of PLTI, being a graduate of PLTI and knowing the importance of sharing your voice and elevating your voice has now opened up doors
Mhm.
along with some great opportunities and networking because that's what we learn about a PLTI. I would encourage those that haven't, check it out. Check out
Yes.
PLTI. It opens up doors. And so and now I'm doing some live experience consulting, some consulting with fatherhood, as well as just taking that ministry because I look at my business not just as a business and an entrepreneur piece, but a ministry because it has to be dear, something that you have to be passionate about. And I use it to be able to equip, educate, and empower.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. And so what's the name of I know you just launched a website, but what's the name of your business? Is there one umbrella that all of this business falls under?
Yeah. So the name of the business is called Vaughn Signatures.
Yes.
And so you can find me on www.vaughn, VAUGHN, signatures.com.
Awesome. And tell us why Vaughn Signatures, because I think the things that you named doesn't sound like signatures. I mean, you talked about being a notary. I guess there's a signature involved in that and a seal. And you're a consultant in that parent leadership and voice space, and also for those who don't know, right? Like when we talk about lived experience consultants, that's people who have engaged in systems one way or another.
Mhm.
And then you're advising agencies and leaders in government, whether it's state or federal government, on how to make systems better.
Yes.
Right. And so that's kind of like that lived experience consultant. So you're doing that. You're
Yes.
also, as a PLTI facilitator, you're an entrepreneur, you're a consultant there as well. But tell us a little bit, you're hiding a little bit about that signatures piece. So tell us about I would just say I've also received a beautiful card handwritten from Vaughn Signatures. And so I want people to know about that other piece of your business as well.
Yes. Thank you so much. So Vaughn Signatures is also how it started is because of my handwriting.
Yes.
And so I do calligraphy
Mhm.
and I started doing this like years ago. And I never thought about actually establishing the business. And it's so funny you bring this up because I had one of those memories pop up on the TV screen on Amazon, connects those pictures. And I saw myself, I had handwritten Vaughn Signatures and it popped up from like 2013.
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, here we are in 2025, and it's really now a business. So an idea, how we really can take an idea and it could just sit there.
Mhm.
It's now in fruition. But I do calligraphy and like personal stationery and invitations, wedding invitations, to help just bring out, a unique experience for those that are looking for it.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful handwriting. I mean, your normal handwriting is beautiful, and then
Thank you.
you add the calligraphy piece, and it's just outstanding. So we've kind of gone from PLTI and personal leadership to entrepreneurship, which I think is great, right? So they're like this pathway to success and economic mobility, stability, all that stuff. I wonder for you, as you look back and you reflect on this decision to choose PLTI as a leadership pathway, why did you choose PLTI? What made you decide to embark on this journey? And literally, there is a commitment and an investment of 20 weeks of your time. Why did you choose it?
Well, that's a really good question. I was intrigued and I was interested.
Mhm.
I was intrigued. How it was presented to me uh, was from a dear friend who had shared with me the opportunity. And so, of course, we went through the application process to
Yeah.
learn more about it. And I really wasn't sold, to be honest, to the retreat.
Okay. The
The
retreat is
retreat. The
everything.
retreat is everything. And I won't give up, those different pieces because I really believe that everyone should experience that for
That's
themselves.
right. It's a
And
secret.
it's a secret. So you have to check it out. Check out Parent Leadership Training Institute. But that really helped to foster some of the thoughts along with some of the questions and apprehension that I had because the retreat really kind of laid it out,
Mhm.
some of the expectation. You basically get in 8 hours what it will look like for 20 weeks.
That's right.
And so there was no, misunderstandings. I wasn't misled and misguided.
Right.
And after going through that experience of that retreat, let me know this was the place for me. This was something I can commit to for 20 weeks.
Yeah, and I got to meet you.
Yes, man.
One of my favorite one yes, I was your facilitator, but one
I
of my
love that.
most favorite things about PLTI is the family, right?
Yes.
That we are a family.
Yes, we are.
It's not a cult. Don't get confused, people.
Right,
But
right.
we are a
Thank you.
family. We are a network
That's true.
of support, of social capital, of
Yeah.
people who um, share similar values. And even when we don't have the same values, the thing that we all can stand behind and get around, under, and beneath, and on top of
I don't talk about
is
that's
is our desire for positive outcomes for children and families, right?
we
And
stand.
so, I would also say, like, people need to know that you're going to walk into a PLTI classroom or environment, and not everyone is going to be thinking the same or believing the same or have the same background. It is intentionally designed
Yeah.
to be in a space where people are not like you,
Mm-hmm.
even though you might share some similarities, right? But it really is to help people understand how to work across difference, right?
Yeah.
Your different backgrounds, your different experiences, your different values, your socioeconomic status or religion or race. Like, there's such diversity there. And it's meant to be that way so we can learn from each other,
Right.
right? Because I can learn from anyone. I can learn from another Black woman, but I can learn a whole lot more from someone who's not like me because I don't know their experience.
It's right. I
Um,
agree.
and so it is a beautiful thing paired with Children's Leadership Training Institute, which I know some of your little babies went to
It's two of
as
my
well,
babies.
even though they're kind of big, but they're always babies to me. And also your wife
Yes.
went back after you had the experience. She was like, I want that too.
Yes.
And so how would you say PLTI has impacted your family, both PLTI and CLTI, the Children's Leadership Training Institute? When you reflect on the experience and where your family is now, how would you say it's impacted all of you together?
Wow. It's a rich question. So for PLTI, what it's done for my family as it pertains to my wife is that it's helped us to bond
Mm,
because we've gone through this experience. It might have not been together because I
right.
don't know if I shared this during the time together, but we have 5 children.
Yes,
We
they have
have 5 children.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We have
5
5,
children.
right, but see, I love that. And so, the both of us couldn't be committed for 20 weeks together at that
Right. At the
time.
same time.
So, to be able to take the commitment and say, "All right, well, sweetheart, Imma do this." And so when I'm done, you'll be able to see what it was
Mhm.
that how PLTI has enriched my life.
Right.
And so by doing so, it had offered her some understanding
Yeah.
about what I was going through. Some of those conversations that I would be able to talk to my wife about and say, that really had me self-reflect. That
Mhm.
had me thinking about some things. That had me addressing some things
Right.
within myself, not just as a man, but as a father and a husband.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. And so as a guy, I wear so many different hats that PLTI helped me to really look at and assess, do some self-assessment, some self-reflecting. And during that time, it had me, going back with a apologetic heart to my wife.
Oh, wow.
And
Yes.
so I'm sure as a wife, she's just like, oh, I'm really intrigued about what PLTI got going on, what is happening here.
Yeah.
And then being able to just bond in that way and then kind of just giving like little pieces of what was shared to kind of give insight to have and build conversation made her only want to learn more for herself. Because it's one thing to talk about something, but that's why I think this is such a rich dialogue because it allows others to kind of get some insight for them to kind of take up that opportunity when it
Mhm.
comes for themselves. And so that's what PLTI has done for myself and my wife. When I think about CLTI, Children Leadership Training Institute, my 2 oldest daughters, they partook for CLTI, and which my oldest daughter was the local class speaker.
Yes.
It represented her class, and she was so proud to do so. But it helped them to really nurture that innate leadership in them. And I know a lot of times as parents, we can talk to our children all day long till we blue in the face. about, leadership, what it entails, how to show up to certain spaces, how to be confident, how to wear your confidence boldly and proud. Really just to be regal in who you are and whose you are. But when it comes from a different source and it
Yeah.
comes from a different mouth, it resonates differently.
Yeah, it hits different,
It
as
hits
as the kids say.
Right, it is different, right? I love that. And so that's what it did for my 2 daughters, and they both had 2 different perspectives because one of my daughters is a teenage years, and then my second oldest is just getting to the preteen years. So when they did it a few years ago, they still were, there was some differential with age, and so they had different perspectives based on how the information, how it rests with them. The presentation might have also been different. I wasn't in their space because it's a safe space for them only,
Right.
but their teachers were able to reach them in a way where it resonated differently, and it shows up still to this day. So now they're still eager to take those skills, those civic skills, and to apply them, to exercise them. I see them doing great things. My 12-year-old, she's a little bit more reserved, but because of CLTI, where we even for church purposes, she's up there reading the Bible scriptures. We're like, hey, listen, you want to, and she's not one of those 12-year-olds like that is so scared of using the mic now or being
Right.
behind a mic. And then even for the oldest, she's continuing that journey. So being
Right.
parts of different honor societies, she's on another leadership program now as we speak because it's long. So she's going on to continue that journey. And so I'm proud of the both of them, and I'm proud that they stuck it out for the 20 weeks too,
Yeah.
without falling asleep, without making up
It builds
excuses.
stamina.
Yeah, it builds stamina, and it teaches them the responsibility to show up,
Oh, yeah.
and to give your best. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the best every time. And you get to figure out and know what your best is. And so if you just showed up, it's your best.
That's
And
right.
I love that for them.
That's right. I love that. I love how you frame that, right? Like showing up. If just showing up and being there is your best for that day, then that's what it is. And I think that's one of the things that we encourage in our parent leadership space and also with the children is that we want you to show up as your authentic self, right? So be who you are and you will be received and honored and valued and of course welcomed. Okay, so before we close out, I want to know what is next for you? What's next for you, Josh? What's going on?
Whew. Well, I'm already thinking about when's the next men's event. I'm working towards that.
Okay.
And also I want to be able to encourage not just the fathers, but more parents to get involved. We're in a time and a day that it's important for there to be some more leadership with modeling the importance of being present. We need some more present supervision for our communities and our children. Right, we're seeing it daily, and so my thoughts are that I'm looking for ideas within and resting and sleeping, meditating, and praying about ways to connect with parents within my community to do something that can help bring these children together in a meaningful way, in a productive way, to have them really start looking at some self-reflecting and drawing out opportunities for themselves and their futures. And so that's what I'm thinking about next. So that's a little secret and a little
So a little
bit
future,
future
connecting with parents,
Yes, connecting with
connecting with
parents.
young people,
Yes. So
getting people to look about the future, planning for the
right.
future. Ooh, resume building,
Resume building,
career.
cracking reviews, yeah.
Yes.
Filling out applications, writing, creative writing skills, really helping them to nurture what's next in their lives. Because as adults, we get here and we want our babies to learn what it takes to, be prepared in a way that they'll be able to understand what it is to be received or to be rejected.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. You
Stay
got the last word there. I thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Josh. And thank you so much to our viewers and listeners for being with us this time. We'll see you again.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you for the opportunity.